guys, it's tokyoïte. Okay, first things first, it is here. I just have a pimple. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So on Instagram, I asked you guys if you had some questions about uni life in Japan and my university specifically and my experience in general. So I'm gonna talk about this today. Also, just a disclaimer, it might be obvious, but all of this is based on my experience and how I lived and experienced things. So other people might have different opinions, different experiences. So I hope you guys understand that. Anyway, let's get started. So I grouped some questions together so it's easier because some of them are like similar and I want to answer as many people as I can. So yeah. So the first one is, what are you studying in Japan and why Japan? Did you know Japanese when you enrolled? Someone else asked, what is your major? So I am not studying anymore because I graduated, but I studied in the Faculty of Liberal Arts at Sophia and my major was International Business and Economics. Why Japan? So right before I graduated high school, I really wanted to go to that business school, but I didn't get in. And a few days before I found out that I didn't get in, my mom, she was like, oh, by the way, I saw like some programs where you can like study in Japan and everything. That's how the idea started, because I really wanted to like probably live in Japan at some point in my life. Toward the end of high school, I had been to Japan twice. The first time was on like summer course and the second time was for high school exchange, but it was only 3 weeks. So yeah, I knew I wanted to go to Japan. Like I thought it would be later in life just to work, but yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, uni, why not? And so some of you may know I studied uni in France, and for like the first 6 months I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's okay here. And after 6 months I was no, so I got ready to apply to study in Japan. It happened. If you're curious on how I got into uni in Japan, like the whole application process, I have made a video about how I did all of that, so you can go watch it if you want. Someone else asked, did you attend a Japanese course at the Japanese university? No, I studied in English. I had Japanese classes, just Japanese language classes, but I've never taken a class in Japanese. Kind of regret not doing that, but also I was too scared of ruining my GPA for that because I wanted to go to masters, so I had to keep up my GPA. And someone else also asked, did you already speak Japanese when you went there? Yes, I spoke a bit of Japanese. Like when I say a bit, I was able to like make friends and like communicate with them and just like kind of get by in like my daily life. I already had my N4, but I had like taken it years before that. So I don't know, I think I was somewhere in between N4 and N3. So if you're that level, you should be able to move to Japan without too much trouble, honestly. And if you're above that, then it's all fine. Even if you don't speak Japanese, honestly, it's okay. But the more you speak, obviously, the easier it's gonna be. You have to be able to speak Japanese well when you go to study in Japan. It's my biggest concern. So I think I just answered that, but no, if your program is in English, you only need to be able to speak English. Japanese, I mean, it's better if you speak Japanese, and I think they'll take that into consideration. Like it shows that you're kind of serious about moving to Japan and like your whole project and everything. But no, you don't need to speak Japanese, but it'll be a lot easier for you to move here and just like do stuff in general if you speak Japanese. Just as it's not only Japan, it's like any country. But if you don't, it's fine. Like if your plan is to just come here and improve your Japanese as you're studying other stuff, like that's completely fine. Yeah. Next, so what's your visa and is it complicated to take care of the administration and papers? My visa was a student visa, and in terms of like taking care of all the paperwork, not really. It's pretty straightforward. They tell you everything you have to do. For my visa itself, basically I filled like a bunch of papers when I applied, like for my visa already, and once I confirmed that I was enrolling the course, I don't know how long exactly it took them, but so to get a Japanese visa, you need a certificate of eligibility. So my program was started in April 2017, and I think I got the CEO, it was sent to me like in end of January, beginning of February 2017. But once I got that, I just went to the embassy. I remember going there on a Wednesday, and so I filled like one more like application sheet, and so I gave everything, and the lady was like, okay, you can come pick it up on Friday, and I was like, of this week? But yeah, it's like it only took 2 days. So once you have all the paperwork, it's pretty straightforward once you're in Japan too. So yeah, nothing complicated, it just takes a bit of time. Okay, then a lot of you asked me about like the pressure, whether it was challenging or not. Like, is there a pressure to get good grades? I'm just gonna show all the questions that talk about that. And like, is it harder than France? For me, studying in France was definitely harder than Japan. Like, Japan's really chill compared to that. There's no real pressure to get good grades in uni. It's not like high school and everything. So uni is more like your kind of free time in life where you can kind of relax before entering like your working life. I don't know, it also depends on what you study, right? Because I was studying economics in France, and my econ econ classes in France were a lot harder than what I had in Japan. I was not really fond of economics anyway, so I didn't take too many classes about that. I was more focusing on business classes. I think it can be challenging if you're aiming for an A. Some classes can be really challenging. Some classes were hard too, but nothing that you can't do, I want to say. Yeah, so anyway, not really challenging. If you want something challenging, I don't think Japan is the good place for you. But like, it's not that I knew that, but also for me, like, my goal was mostly to just like, because Tokyo is such an amazing city and like there are so many like opportunities everywhere, and that's what I was the most interested in, just to get some like experience at work and everything, and I did. And I still got good grades. Someone asked, how is the support from teachers and students? I think, at least comparing to France, because that's the only like comparison I can do, teachers here are like a lot more supportive and like willing to help you. I mean, most of them, not all of them, than the teachers I had in France. Like, I don't know if it was only my university, but I don't know, they were kind of treating us like shit. Here, they're like, it's really easy to get close to your professors, and that's really nice. I think all the teachers were pretty nice, except for one. She was kind of a B. She was a B. Anyway, yeah, no, teachers are pretty supportive. Students too, like, there's no real competition between us. So how are the professors, like, and their English levels from an international student point of view? I had great teachers. Like, they went to like amazing universities like Harvard, Columbia, and so many I can't name. Like, all of them are proficient in English. You don't have to worry about that. Some of them do have an accent. I mean, like, that's normal. Accents are a thing. I don't think I ever had like any comprehension problems. The only thing I can think of is like one of my teachers, every time he would say whiskey, it sounded like whiskey, and I was just like, what? Whiskey? Where are we talking about whiskey in macroeconomics? Just that, but otherwise, like, it was fully understandable. Then I had, do students help each other? Yeah, definitely. If you're friends and like if you just ask them for something, usually they help each other. I think there's just like in any country. But yeah, no, it's just like people are nice, you know, and some people are not nice, and that's life. What are the group works and assignments like? It's fun. I mean, assignments are just assignments, just like any other place. They can be challenging, sometimes they're not. Group work, it's fun. Like, that's how you get to make friends most of the time. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. You know, you go to school on Sunday for the whole day just thinking about it, writing on like a room where the whole wall is like a whiteboard you can write on, and it's just like so much fun. Like, I really like that. I kind of miss it actually. I think it's just the same in any country, honestly. Did you have time to enjoy university social life? Wasn't the amount of study too much? There are like moments where I would just cancel everything because I was just too busy studying, but that's just around midterms and finals usually. But then it's the same for everyone, so we're like all super understanding. But otherwise, no, like, we definitely had time to enjoy. But yeah, no, we definitely have like a lot of events going on, and even in university, once a year you have the festival for the school, so Sophia festival in our case, and they had other events going on, a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, if your goal is to come to Japan and study but also enjoy Japan, that's totally doable. So how different is it from French student life? I would say we have, I mean, just because the culture is that like students, you'll have a part-time job and everything in Japan. In France, first of all, it's hard to find time for a part-time job, and even if you have time for it, it's really hard to find most of the time. While here, it's like, it's just so common. There's that. Classes are definitely, at least in FLA, classes are more, how can I say that? It's more like a English, I say English as in like British and American system, where like you only have between 10 and 50 hours of classes per week in general, and then you have some studying to do, but you have time for something outside. While in France, it's just a lot of studying all the time. Yeah, student life, I would say more time for myself and activities and work. So what does a typical school day in Japan looks like? So you would wake up, get ready. Then if you have class in the morning, probably go through rush hour in the train, just not fun. Then you'd get to school and you go to class. You might have like free periods where you just hang out with your friends or just study at the library. If it's one of those days, in the afternoon or the evening, you'll head to work your part-time job. Quite often it could be like in a restaurant. I know I worked in a restaurant or cafe. And yeah, and then you would go home. I think that's a very typical day. How is it to reconcile college with work? It's okay. I think like your schedule is kind of made for that. I mean, not really on purpose, but just it works that way. I think it's just such a common thing to do here. It's just like, it's rare on the other hand to meet someone who doesn't have a part-time job. Yeah, no, it's not hard to like put the two together. Part-time employability with questionable language ability. If you don't speak too much Japanese yet, don't worry. Like if you speak English or any other language in demand, you'll probably be able to teach that, and that you can make a like really good amount of money with that. But I do want to say that the more Japanese you speak, the easier it's gonna be to find a job and like do more things and get more experience. I think like an entry level is a good level to work in a restaurant and stuff like this. But yeah, even if you don't speak that much Japanese yet, don't worry, you'll find something. In the UK, there are so many students on the nightlife events. Does Japan have them? Before COVID, obviously, yeah, don't worry. Yes and no. It's not students only. It's like it's gonna be a majority of students, mostly because they're organized by students most of the time. But they're just open to anyone. Anyone can come. So yeah, yes and no. How much does it cost? Did I get a scholarship or not? Well, I'm assuming it also depends on every university. But for Sophia, FLA, I would say it was around $10,000 a year. Which, depending on where you're from, that's going to be expensive or not expensive. Like, I'm assuming if you're from France, it's going to sound very expensive. If you're from the US, it's going to sound very cheap. And did I get a scholarship? I applied for one once. I qualified for it, but when I went to the interview, they told me very clearly that I'm French, and so I should not expect a scholarship. Just because, I mean, it makes sense. There's just people who need it more than me, who are like from South Asia and stuff like this, from like poorer countries. Well, France is a pretty rich country, so like they expect my family to have more means. I'm just lucky I had parents who could support me through university. Don't worry, because like there are more scholarships than that. Not sure why I didn't apply for them. There are probably like some conditions that I didn't fill. But yeah, there are like a bunch of scholarships every semester. How is the cost of living like? Is there some transportation discount and student privileges offered by the uni? Cost of living, I don't know. Once again, depends where you're from, because like I know I have a friend who's from Guam in Hawaii, and like for her, Japan is so cheap. But for me, I think it's like so expensive. I'm sorry, I didn't say it, but I'm like talking about groceries right now. But rent wise, for Tokyo, honestly, if I compare it to Paris, I feel like rents are a bit more affordable in Japan, I mean in Tokyo, compared to Paris. But I'm not saying it's completely cheap, but there are like more options. If you wanted a cheaper rent, you could just live a bit further in the outskirts of Tokyo and you'd be able to save some money like that. Or you can go into share houses. But again, groceries for me, I think it's more expensive here than in Europe. And transportation discount, so yeah, so basically we would still go to school. So this is like a commuter pass, and you can just buy like a kind of, I'm not really sure how to explain that, but for like in between your station and your arrival station, and you can buy it for like 1, 3, or 6 months. If you're a student, it's cheaper than if you were to just buy it just like this. I think you can get some student discount for the Shinkansen, but you have to get a paper from uni, so it's really annoying because you have to go apply for it. It's really not convenient. Japan is not very big on student discounts for anything past high school. High school, middle school, you often see like discounts for them, but uni students, not really, at least compared to France. Are there any facilities for students, for example, regarding accommodation, university fees? Accommodation, yes, there are dorms. You have a really cheap one that's kind of far, and then you have really expensive ones that are like next to the uni. But university fees, I guess that would fall into the scholarship category. Besides the dorms, they didn't really offer anything specific. You're kind of on your own, I'm not gonna lie. I guess you can go ask them for help, which I never did, so I don't know how that would work. But if you're an exchange student, I think they'll be a bit more supportive and like they will explain a bit more things. But as just an international student, not really. What are the international student ratio like in terms of race? Mostly, at least in Sophia, mostly East Asians and Southeast Asians. Are there a lot of interactions between international and Japanese students? Japanese as in non-English taught program students? Yes, because there are like some clubs for connect the Japanese students and international exchange students. But I was in the photography club, and yeah, so like this, like I interacted a lot with Japanese people. So I think yeah, like clubs are your best way if you want to meet non-international Japanese people. When I say non-international, as in like Japanese people who don't speak English and have never lived abroad. How did you meet people that you spend time with after class? So either clubs, like I just said, or just in class, basically, with like group projects, or just randomly talking to each other in class, you know. I just like anywhere, honestly, just that's how you meet people. Is it safe for a woman as a student there? Overall, yes, but risk zero doesn't exist, so just be careful. It's not 100% safe, but overall it's safe. Are fruits and veggies affordable as a student, or should I give up having a healthy diet in Japan? See, again, that's gonna depend on where you're from. Coming from Europe, I think it's very expensive, but I don't think you have to give up on it. You just have to buy them and consume them more mindfully, if I may say. But you definitely don't need to just give up on them. And I got cheap places to eat literally anywhere, especially the cafeteria. Cafeteria in uni is just so cheap. How did you pick what university to study at? First of all, I knew I wanted to study in Tokyo, so just exclude all of the other universities, but there are a lot of good universities outside of Tokyo as well. So like obviously there's like tokyoiteee or Waseda. Sophia was one of them. I saw that they had the FLA and I was like, the program is like, I like it. I also applied to Waseda sales just in case. That was my plan B, but because sales was and is still pretty new, so, and also I didn't like the fact that it was like really general. You can pick a major, but it's like during your last semester, I think. Well, Sophia, like, it's more like it's like 3 definite majors and you have to pick one after a year and a half, and it was also a lot older, the FLA, so I felt like they had a bigger reputation as an international program, kind of, and so they probably had more experience. I felt like they had a better program, but then I didn't go to Waseda, so I can't compare. And there are other universities like Temple University. Yeah, there are other universities you can look into, but for me, I don't know, it was just Sophia, and like just knowing I knew some people there was kind of comforting on like the quality of things. And so like the year before I entered, I traveled to Japan during summer and I went to like the open campus for both Sophia and Waseda, and I don't know, I just really liked Sophia. I liked the presentation about FLA. I like, we had like kind of like a like mock class kind of, which was really nice. Yeah, and then when I went to Waseda, the dean was kind of looked down on me, so I didn't really like that. But yeah, that's kind of how I picked my university. How's the Sophia campus like? Is it convenient? Very big? It's not that big. I mean, it will take you about 10 minutes to walk from one end to the other, but it's not that big compared to other campuses, I think, because it is in the middle of the city, which also makes it very convenient to go there. So I think a lot of people just choose Sophia just because it's convenient to go there. I'm like, what? That's not how it's supposed to work. You have like a combini there, a lot of places to eat on campus. So yeah. And then I noticed that Sophia Uni is Christian. Yes, it's Jesuit, but do you think that was very evident? Like, are there a lot of rules? Evident as in like obvious? Yes, no, I mean yes, the name is Sophia. It's the first Jesuit university in Japan, actually. Like first built. I mean, no, there are no rules. You don't have to be Christian to be there. They don't care. It just happens to have been founded by Jesuits. We had to take 2 like kind of religion courses, but one of them I took was not even religious. It was just about, it was more like philosophy, like human rights and stuff. The other one was about Ignatius and stuff like this. It's not like you need to do anything. They're very open about religions in general. There's a halal here as well. There's a prayer room. Yeah, so it's pretty open for like any religion basically. Okay, and last question. Is it difficult to stay in Japan and work there after uni? I'm not sure about whether it's difficult or not. It's just you need to find a job before graduating, so you can just switch your visa. If you don't find a job, then but you're looking for one and you can prove you're looking for one, you can apply for, it's called a designated activity visa, so you can apply for that. I'm not sure how it works because I didn't get it. I mean, as long as you start looking for a job early enough, it's not hard, especially if you're graduating from a Japanese university and you're bilingual, or at least you have some Japanese fluency. But yeah, I would say if you go to uni here, it's probably not too hard to find a job and stay there after, and you'll have a work visa once you have a job. Anyway, that's it for now. If you have any other questions that I haven't answered here, there are some questions that I did not answer because they were not really related to this, or I just didn't have an answer for them. Please leave a comment below, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you soon. Bye!